Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Is this new toy from Google the games console killer? Russia planning its own telling of the Chernobyl disaster after decades of trying to cover up what happened. We take a look at the good and bad side of facial recognition technology.
That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're going to do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was doing.
And look who's talking. We have a contender for the best video the internet may have ever produced. And top of our newsfeed, the console killer. That's how Google would like you to think of their new offering called Stadia. They'd like it to replace your Xboxes, your PlayStations, and your Nintendo Switches. And their marketing machine has certainly made that a loud part of the conversation online recently. But will the hype match up with reality? Here's Adama.
Could it be game over for traditional video game consoles? Google is breaking into the gaming industry by launching a challenger to traditional players, and its new streaming subscription, Google Stadia, could be a game industry changer. But they're not the only innovators in the race. All eyes will be on LA this week. Microsoft will announce the successor to Xbox at the Electronic Entertainment Expo. Nicknamed Project Scarlet, the company says the console will be its most powerful and highest performing they've designed. It will be available through the company's new streaming service, xCloud.
I think Microsoft has a really excellent chance to blow out the show this year in a good way.
Sony is also offering games through its new streaming platform, PlayStation Now, and Nintendo has Switch Online. The US video game industry was worth more than $43 billion last year, up 18% from the year before. And the main players long ago perfected their strategies to do all they can to get their products into the homes of gamers. And the streaming market is turning that strategy on its head.
Part of the reason is that there's this sense that the internet has gotten fast enough, particularly with stuff like 5G coming around the corner, the new wireless technology, as well as just how fast all of our internet connections are now, that we can actually do this thing. And streaming, which is basically playing a game the same way that you kind of watch a movie from Netflix, promises to really revolutionize this technology. You get to play high-end games without having to have an expensive box next to your TV, and that's kind of cool.
But will it work? Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft have spent decades building canons of great games. They're not likely to allow Google to use them on a service that's a threat to their business model, especially as each of those companies are already starting to explore streaming options of their own. Each will have to convince consumers their streaming services will be a credible replacement for a physical console, which is likely to go the way of CDs and cassette tapes. As the industry brings in even more revenue, it's clear a new generation of gaming is being born.
And next, Chernobyl is one of the TV events of the year. If you've not seen it yet, it's an HBO drama based around events in 1986 in the Soviet Union. A nuclear reactor exploded, the Soviet state covered up what actually happened, and modern Russia has never really acknowledged the true effects of the disaster. Now, after the HBO telling, the Russian state has decided it should give their version of events. Here's Karen.
Chernobyl has blown up again, this time on social media, after HBO's limited series ran as hot as any fuel rods.
We are dealing with something that has never occurred on this planet before.
The fallout this time, a global conversation about the 1986 nuclear disaster. The show is top of IMDb's rankings and expected to become the highest-rated series of all time. The drama centers on the truths and lies told about the meltdown. Its creators went to great lengths to produce a realistic portrayal of the Soviet Union in the 80s. One viral Twitter thread by a Russian who grew up in the Soviet Union called the show a work of art and said it was more realistic than anything Russians would have ever made about themselves. But there's one place it hasn't gone down well: the Kremlin. Media outlets associated with Moscow have called the show a caricature and a plot to undermine Russia's current atomic agency. Now the Russians are apparently hitting back with their own dramatic depiction of the disaster. A series has reportedly been commissioned by NTV, a network owned by Russian gas company Gazprom. The government's cultural minister has put almost $500,000 into the production. Director Alexei Muradov says it will show what really happened. His telling will focus on a conspiracy theory that a CIA operative had infiltrated the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and had a hand in the explosion. Muradov says many historians don't deny an enemy agent was present at the station, a claim not backed up by the United Nations or the Nuclear Energy Institute, who both find, as HBO's drama does, that human failure and a faulty design were to blame. The number 4 reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear plant exploded on April 26, 1986, near the Ukrainian city of Pripyat. At least 31 people were killed in the immediate aftermath, but the full impact of the meltdown remains highly debated and under study. The HBO show's depiction of the cause of the disaster is backed up by Soviet records and witness accounts. So with Russians wondering why a US series has documented their history, could a Kremlin version of events shake people's understanding to their core?
Okay, let's take a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. More than 1 million people are said to have marched in Hong Kong to protest against a proposed law that would allow suspected criminals to be extradited to mainland China. There's been a lot of anger in Hong Kong at what some people see as China's increasing control over the territory. The eating of noodles has been politicized in Cambodia. Both the government and the banned opposition have been staging rival campaigns on social media. They're encouraging their supporters to eat num ban chok, a mix of noodles and soup considered a national dish. It started after opposition members were recently arrested after holding meetings in noodle restaurants. These are pictures of people queuing to buy Yeezy Boost 350s in black static. They sell for about $230, but then people resell them on eBay for double or even triple the price. That's for trainers designed by the producer/rapper Kanye West. This photo of a seagull eating a person's lobster roll has gone viral. It happened in Maine in the United States. The roll the seagull got to snack on cost the woman who bought it $21. And the hashtag Turks are coming for Iceland is trending after people on Twitter complained about the treatment of the Turkish men's football team, the treatment they received when they landed at Reykjavik airport. The team's vice captains say they were needlessly delayed and had their bags searched twice. Someone then pretended to do an interview with the team captain Emre Bezoğlu while holding a cleaning brush as a microphone. And next, facial recognition technology. There's a debate going on in the industry just about now about how it should be used and how it shouldn't be. The problem is the technology is already widely available. Here's Jacob.
It's made it easier to tag your photos on Facebook and unlock your iPhone. Facial recognition technology is now so commonplace, it's being used by banks, airports,
Thank you.
and even in classrooms.
Elias could provide different kind of exercises because emotions have really strong influence on learning. When kids are happy in the classroom, they learn faster.
But is the technology becoming too pervasive? Some in the tech industry, including Microsoft President Brad Smith, say yes.
Imagine a government tracking everywhere you walked over the past month without your permission or knowledge. This has long been the stuff of science fiction and popular movies like Minority Report, Enemy of the State, and even 1984. But now it's on the verge of becoming possible.
Last week, US lawmakers learned the FBI has a facial recognition database of 640 million photos, almost double that of the US population.
No individual signed off on that.
In the UK, cameras in shopping centre billboards are being used to target shoppers with advertisements. The technology determines a shopper's age and gender, as well as their mood, and plays tailored advertisements within seconds. But analysts say the dangers of the technology are even clearer in countries like China.
The digitalization of Chinese society is turning China into a surveillance state. Facial recognition, voice recognition, DNA collection, 200 million surveillance cameras everywhere, social credit system, a new generation of digital technology, including artificial intelligence and big data analysis, is empowering the state to control, to monitor, to manipulate China's vast population.
Privacy advocates say there is little transparency about what data is collected and how it's being used. The fight back has begun. San Francisco recently banned police use of facial recognition technology.
Face surveillance gives the government the power to watch us when we go to a protest, when we attend a place of worship, or when we just walk down the street going about our daily business. This is a power that does not belong in government hands, and it's one that can be easily abused to watch protesters, to scan and track activists, and to discriminate against people of color.
Just last week, Microsoft deleted a database that contained more than 10 million images of some 100,000 people. But in a sign of how profitable the technology has become, Amazon's shareholders in May rejected proposals to curb its facial recognition service. And despite calls for more oversight, government still has little power to regulate the technology.
Okay, a spin around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Monday. Now, some of the people who survived a tower block fire in London are suing American companies they say contributed to the fire by making unsafe products. The survivors and families of those who died are suing Arconic, the manufacturer of the tower's cladding, Celotex, which made the insulation, and Whirlpool, which builds fridges. It was a faulty fridge in one of the flats that's been blamed by some for the fire. It happened 2 years ago. 72 people died. This is Scott Peterson. He was a deputy sheriff at Parkland High School on Valentine's Day in 2018. That was when a student killed 17 teenagers and teachers. Mr. Peterson is charged with child neglect. Video shows he did not confront the gunman and only entered the building 48 minutes after the shooting started. Some of the families who lost children in the killing spree have called him a coward. He was armed with a handgun and didn't have a bulletproof vest. The gunman had a rifle similar to those used in the military. And this man, Robert F. Smith, who famously paid off the student debt of an entire graduating class from Morehouse College early this year, has announced he's launching an internship in science, technology, engineering and maths for people from ethnically underrepresented groups. It'll provide work experience for 1,000 young people each summer at a number of top global firms. And last up, we're going to play you a video that is on course to be our favourite video of the year, if not the decade. It's done more than 54 million views on Facebook and was posted by someone called Shanike Pryor. It's of her son Kingston, who is not yet 2, and his father DJ having a full-on conversation about the show they're watching. Take a look.
Okay. They need to work on that, right? Yes, okay. Did you understand it though? No. Okay. That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. Oh yeah. Right, don't bring that again. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah. Really? I thought the same thing. We think a lot alike, huh?
Well, the little guy is just 19 months old. He's got more to say about that show than I would ever have. It's gone super viral, as you can imagine, and people are now demanding that these two have a show of their own. That is something the Newsfeed team would definitely be into. And that is all from us. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints, and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow, subscribe, and add. See you again tomorrow.